second, people. 1 second. This is files. All right, everybody, welcome to Foo Sports Live. There's a late edition. Not gonna go too long with this one. We're gonna be talking about a little bit of this Tank Davis fight that people are still going on about. I mean, it seems like people are making this out like this is like the greatest robbery in boxing history, when in reality, just for the most part, business as usual, right? There could be some corruption, possibly. I mean, look, the guy is supposedly the money man, right? That's the money guy. We've seen this. This is what happens. I don't even think this is the worst case of favoritism at all. I thought the fight was very close, and I think if they were to give the fight to Roach, because from what I hear, they're trying to overturn the decision. I think if you're going to overturn that decision, then you definitely need to overturn many other decisions in boxing. So why are people so obsessed in this case? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the class, the division, the class system, I guess. Maybe it's haters. Maybe it's many. It could be many things. But one of the things that's interesting about this fight is the fact that both fighters are of the same complexion, right? They're the same complexion. Usually, what we see in the country, we usually see that divide between the rich and the poor and the middle class, and the divisions of the different classes. What we see in this fight, and I think that's really what it is. It's not a race division. It's a division of class. So you see here, Roach is supposed to act as like, he's kind of the underdog, right? 1 second, let me turn this music off. He's the underdog in this fight. And he's come in there and he's done something that people really didn't see coming. They thought this guy was just going to get crushed, by the Tank. The big Tank was just going to run him over. And that didn't happen. I'm not shocked by that because I called this out months ago. Just saying. What would be awesome if I knew where the hell this song was running. Trying to find the song. I'm going to lower this. All right. So this Tank was supposed to run this guy over, right? The diva. The diva was supposed to run him over. And he didn't. So people are like, oh, what the hell's going on here? This, this guy Roach should have won. Even though I don't really think he did. I mean, me and Bob scored this fight. The draw was fair. I thought it was definitely fair. It was more than fair. I mean, because they could have actually made it where this guy didn't even win this fight. Not to make it that way, but I mean, for the most part, we scored this fight and it was very close. First 2 rounds were extremely close. So close that me and Bob gave it a draw. We gave it a draw on both 10-10, 2 10-10 rounds. That's very different for me and Bob to give that score. That's not a score we've ever done on the page ever. But I feel like people really want to, they really want to kind of like pretend that this was a blowout. I don't know if they're pretending or maybe that's just the way they saw it. But going back to the whole class thing, I think that's really what we're looking at here. This guy was seen as the underdog. And so they want to see it as he's been robbed by, the favored fighter, the diva, right? Which is what's really coming to an end. We've been saying it on the Foo Sports for a few months now, or over a year. We've been kind of in a lot of ways calling for the end of the diva age. The Floyd Mayweathers of the sport. Just all boxing as a whole. Just people getting favoritism and cherry picking their fights. We're seeing the end of it through Turkey Al Sheikh, and now we have some new partnerships with Turkey still, with Turkey and these powerful companies coming together to, for the most part, it's pretty obvious, to build back better, right? All right, so we have a story here from SB Nation. It says, building this sport back up from ground zero. White speaks on new boxing enterprise. All right, so this is a deal that's just been struck between Turkey Al Sheikh, Dana White's company, I think it's KO, and there's another one in there. There's a couple of big companies in there. The same company that owns both UFC and the UFC and the WWE are joining together with Turkey Al Sheikh to build a new promotion. This is exactly, in a lot of ways, what we were kind of asking for. I've been saying this for a long time, that in order to clean up this sport, they're going to have to do something like this. which is, to me, is insane because you look at the bloated salaries that these NFL players are making. I mean, how is it that the NFL can have these guys, they're not ducking. They're not ducking the best teams in the sport, right? They're playing all the best teams. So maybe that's the step forward, right? But I guess for the most part, the NFL is monopolized. I mean, for the most part. I mean, I guess you watch college football and so on. But for the most part, their number one goal is to go to the NFL. Anybody that plays football, that's where they want to be, is in the NFL. That's when you made it big, right? So there is a monopoly there. So we're looking at, in a lot of ways, we're looking at the transformation of boxing, and we called it out. We called it out a long time ago. How these Saudis are coming in and they're trying to diversify what their investments, So we're seeing this with Turkey is a huge push towards sports, combat sports. Maybe he is a fan of these sports. All right, so we're going to see a little bit of this, and we're going to talk about Tank Davis a little more. All right. They've just made a big deal, and what this is most likely going to do is that this is going to bring in, this is obviously going to be, in many ways, a monopoly. With that, the fighters will be making less. A lot of people don't like that. But in many ways, the fighters have maybe been making too much. I mean, that may be sad to think, right? But they're making a little too much, a little too fast. And this is one of the things that's killing the sport. As they say, when you sleep in silk sheets, right, it's kind of hard to get up and run in the morning. So maybe do we need a monopoly? Or the real question, I guess, is do we need a monopoly? Or can we change the payment structure? There's many, many things, but this for sure is going to get people to big fights, but at the cost of these enormous paydays. But again, when you pay a guy $50 million for a fight, what's the incentive for him to continue fighting, right? Many of the guys you see today, they're not doing it for the glory. They don't even respect the sport. They don't respect the fans. They see this as a hustle, right? It's a hustle. You hear it all the time. All the time. Guy like Canelo, I feel like I've done enough. I've done enough. I've given you enough. Now it's time to cherry pick, right? Now what? And that's not good for the integrity of the sport, right? That guys can start cherry picking. So I can never understand how people make excuses for that. Because if you love the sport, you would never accept that. Everyone's having these disputes about contracts and what money this fighter's making. If we had a unified system, in some ways, you have an overhead, a boss, because in a lot of ways this is what happened in boxing, and it's starting to happen in MMA, and a lot of people are accepting of this. And I called it the inmates are running the insane asylum, and that's what's happened in a lot of ways. That's what's happening in boxing. They think they can control everything, and when you have that, you have a sport that's laughable. It's a laughable sport. You have the fighters being able to point fingers and choose who they want. They can cherry pick, which for sure destroys the integrity of the sport. You look at a guy like Shakur Stevenson. He recently fought a guy who was ranked very low, right? He was very low. He cherry picked a bum, basically. And built on that win, the people are supposed to turn this turd into a piece of gold, right? Somehow. It was garbage. It was garbage. All right? So we're not, sorry if I'm all over the place, people. This here, in a lot of ways, is going to structure the sport similar to the UFC, which I've called for a long time. They're going to have a ladder system. And this is what will lead to the end of the diva era in boxing. And the end of the diva age. I've been saying this for a while. People don't want Floyd Mayweather anymore. They want Mike Tyson back. Right? That's what they want. And yes, they're going to have a boss. Lots of people have a boss, right? We don't want some dictator over our heads, but we need people to organize this stuff, right? The sport does need to be organized, and giving these fighters the ability to both get these giant paydays and to duck fights cannot coexist. That's not how you run a healthy sport, right? It's not. So a guy like this, he's going to dictate things. They're going to come in and they're going to say, you need to fight the next guy in line. We need to stop having this Canelo stuff where guys can just cherry pick all day long and make these enormous paydays and dictate all kinds of things in the sport. With a unified structure like this, what they're supposedly building, hopefully, the hope is that every fighter wears the same gloves. Every fighter has equal treatment, right? Every fighter does. These guys are making maybe even equal pay and maybe bonuses. This is why they structured UFC. Bonuses for fighting in an exciting manner, in actually going for the finish, right? For actually fighting, actually having courage. Because right now, what you see, you got a guy like a Shakur Stevenson who's dancing all around that ring, not doing anything. And they're gonna build that guy up and give him these big paydays. He could cherry pick. I mean, that guy right there, guys like Shakur and Keyshawn and Tank to a certain degree, even though he is more exciting than those guys, are going to destroy this sport. Okay? Now we're going to look at this interview. It looks like it's buffering. Let's hopefully we can, this plays. All right, give me 1 second. 1 second, please. Pros and cons, people. Pros and cons. There's a lot of cons in boxing right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Turkey, I'll shake his.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the announcement of the boxing promotion with the fine folks at TKO. I assume there was a lot of people that wanted to do boxing business with you. Why did it end up being the group of TKO, both UFC, WWE, Dana, Nick, Ari, Mark? Why did that become the relationship that you chose for your boxing entity?
First of all, because they are the top.
First of all, I am here and I am queer. Get it.
In this field.
Don't kill me, please. I hate to lose.
Second, we have a great long relationship between us and TKO for long times and a lot of success profiles similar to WWE and a lot of things else. They are the perfect. We share the same vision, and we think.
What's up, Thunderdome? Thunderdome says, what was your score after the rescore? My score after the rescore and Bob, actually both of us had the same thing. We had 6 rounds for each fighter. 6 rounds, very close fight. I think one of the things I find the funniest is I keep hearing people say that Tank was exposed. People aren't really looking at Tank's career. Look, this guy struggled in like the last, how many fights does this guy struggle in? He's getting his ass whooped by Frank Martin. He's getting beat up by Rolly. He fought this other guy, I forget his name, the Spanish dude. I don't know where there's some weird thing where he quits in the corner. Like, how many fights have we seen, a Tank just get his ass whooped? I mean, we saw, and this fight he had actually, I think, is one of the most exciting fights I've seen him have, possibly ever. He also was getting beat up in the Pitbull fight. This guy's constantly getting beat up. So for people to say he got exposed, it's like, bro, he's been exposed for a long time. I think one of the biggest things with Tank Davis, with a lot of people that are in the know, a lot of people that love boxing, is that what people hate who love boxing, who don't just worship boxers, like an actual specific boxer, the people that actually care about the integrity of the sport and care about their own intelligence. And they care about their intelligence not being insulted. And that's what happens when I feel like when I hear things and other people hear like Tank Davis, one of the greatest fighters of all time, or Shakur is one of the greatest of all time. So this is what happens when they see him like this, get kind of beat up. In some ways, people may exaggerate a little bit, but it ain't a surprise. It ain't a surprise. But for the majority of the public, this is a big surprise that this happened. But to me, it ain't a surprise. First of all, Roach is pretty decent. He's got a decent inside game. I thought he did. But with that said, I don't think he won the fight. I think there was some controversy. I think it was a very close fight. I think it could have actually gone either way. I saw it as a draw. Bob saw it as a draw. We know there was that controversial moment with the going down to a knee. I'm going to talk about that for hopefully for the last time in this stream. Maybe I'll bring it up in the future. But I'm going to show the moment where right before that happened. I'm going to show that one last time because I never really analyzed it. Never really, did it in a stream and kind of slowed it down and looked at it. All right, so Thunderdome Boxing says, Fu, have a dream speech. I feel it. Yes. I mean, it's coming, man. It's coming. This is the restructuring. I mean, in some ways, it's terrible. It's terrible. For sure, there's going to be lower wages, right, for the fighters. But you got to understand, people need to understand, when you give somebody some bloated amount of money, what's to keep them going? What's the momentum, especially when they're money driven? Right? They're 100% money driven in a sport that requires momentum and effort and training and discipline. Well, what's going to keep them going when they have, 50 mil in the bank, 100 mil? I mean, this is for any man, any person in the world. You give a plumber $50 million. What he's going to do? He's going to lay on his ass. He ain't going to be out working pipes and cleaning that stuff unless, I mean, it's for his parents or for his kids or whatever. He ain't going to be working a job when he got 50 mil in the bank, right? Okay, so there's a lot of downfalls to the way the structure is. But the biggest problem with it now is that these guys conduct fights. And yes, there's some favoritism. But this Tank shit isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, we literally saw a man, Andre Ward, just a couple of years ago, punch a guy in the dick many, many times and get a win on that. He got a win on that. So for people to come out and say, like, make it like this is an outrage, it's just insane. And what's funny is if that guy was of a certain complexion, Roach, they probably would have brushed all of this under the fucking rug. But like I said, I think this fight, the story of it is more of like a class war, right? I saw Teddy Atlas come out the other day and he said that Tank paid off the ref. He paid, but that's a conspiracy theory. He paid off the ref. So like I said, it's all about money, right? It's not about color now. If it was about color, you know, if it was Andre Ward and he did some dirty stuff and the ref literally allowed him to do it. I didn't remember the rules in boxing ever saying that you can win a fight on TKOs on the TKO on low blows. This is why I don't understand that no one was outraged about that, right? Boom, right under the rug. Oh, we hit him it's on the navel, right? No, bro, it was on the penis and the testicles, and it happened many, 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 many times. The fight was literally called on low blows. Oh, sorry about that. So when I see something like this, like I said in the beginning of the stream, it just isn't much to me. It just rolls right off my back. It's really not that big of a deal. But if you cut out that moment in the fight, that moment, you know, the guy going down to a knee for a second, suppose he has something in his eye. We're going to go over the rules when it comes to that, because I told people in the last stream that there actually is stuff in the rules where you're not supposed to take a knee. And if you do take a knee, you're supposed to stay on a knee. So then the referee can come and help you. They're gonna tell you to get up, right? They're gonna have to deem if it was through a punch or whatever. They're gonna bring you to the ring doctor, and the ring doctor is gonna take a look at your eyes and take a look to see if there's something going on. What he did and what this ref allowed could actually really could get this turned into a no contest. But if I was Roach, I would definitely not want that to happen. I'd rather keep the draw than get a no contest. Okay? Because this was, in many ways, this was completely the ref's fault. Yeah, I'm always forget his fucking name. Davis, Deontay, or Gervonta. Hate saying Gervonta. Gervonta over here is a prima donna, people. He's a spoiled brat. So he treated this like a sparring. He really did. That's what tells me he really wasn't in a lot of danger. He's just a lazy fighter who was treating this like, really, for real, like a sparring. He just came up. He's like, bro, can you wipe my eye? He goes to the corner. He's just doing whatever he wants. So it was the ref's job to really pull this shit together and really give him a hard warning as soon as he did something like that, and say, bro, you're gonna lose a point. You're gonna get DQ'd. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But he definitely didn't follow the proper protocol, because he was supposed to bring this guy to the ring doctor. He didn't do that. Yes, he started to count because he didn't know what the fuck was going on. He saw a man go to a knee. He's instantly supposed to count. Then he said something to him. I think he said he had something in his eye. And you could see he was wiping his eye. I'm going to show you that to you in a little while after we watch the Turkey out of Shake video. But he didn't follow the proper protocol, the referee, for sure. I don't think the guy paid him off. I just think he knows where who butters his bread, right? Who's the guy bringing in the asses in the seats, right? And I'm pretty sure he gets advice. He's probably told before the fight, you know, this guy, give him a little bit more slack. All right? But going back to the monopolizing the sport, things like this most likely won't happen anymore, because it won't be about an individual fighter. It'll be about the sport as a whole. And that's it. But obviously, we know that maybe that's not a thing that can really happen 100% of the time, because there's always like someone, like a fighter that rises to the top, right? You got maybe not even the more skilled, maybe just got charisma, and they bring the asses to the seats. So there's always someone going to get some special treatment, but they might force them through the ladder system, and that's the hope that what this brings in. But for sure, you know, these guys would never come into the sport if they weren't getting more money. So in order to make more money, they're going to have to pay these guys less. And that by that, I mean the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, right? Those kind of guys. Okay? Hopefully I showed this. I'm going to show that again. The Andre Ward. The shit. One more time. Because I never forgot about these people. This almost made me stop watching boxing. This guy got robbed. This is one of the greatest robberies I've ever seen in boxing. And it ain't just one. It was 2 in a row. This guy got robbed twice in a row. Look at this snack guy over here, his giant traps. I think didn't this guy come up in weight? And he's bigger than you know, the monster, a light heavyweight. And there you go. I mean, look at that. That's for sure not a legal blow. Okay? No one cared about that. But this Tank shit, a lot of people are bent out of shape. I'm looking at a lot of different videos on YouTube. And everyone is just up in arms, angry. Oh, Roach lost. I mean, come on, guys. He's just a poor little Roach. He did very good for himself. He did. But like I said, I'm not shocked. Tank Davis has been exposed for a long time, people. A long, long time. Like I said, this guy is the Deontay Wilder of the 135. Am I wrong? He's Deontay Wilder. He's Deontay Wilder. He truly is. This guy will lose every round of a fight and come back and land one punch. So how could they tell me, oh, Roach exposed him? Like, bro, Roach had a very competitive fight with them. I saw Tank Davis win 6 rounds in this fight. 6. And he had actually another close round. 6. Both guys, in my book, had 2 very, very, very close rounds. So close that I couldn't even decide which guy won the round. And so after that, Tank Davis, the fight as I saw it was 2 incredibly close rounds at the very beginning. And then it was a series of rounds that Tank Davis won. And then Roach finished. He cleaned out the entire rest of the fight towards the end, right? So I thought he won like basically 4 rounds in a row. He did really, really well for himself. But he didn't get enough rounds to win the fight. It's just a very close competitive fight. And like I said, I actually thought this was one of the more entertaining Tank Davis fights. I actually saw more layers from Tank Davis in this fight than I've seen in his last 3 or 4. You know, he was boxing. He was landing some decent punches. He wasn't letting his hands go enough. He needed to throw a lot more punches. But this guy was doing a great job counterpunching. A very good job. Like, I've been saying it. The guy's got a decent inside game. Roach he's pretty decent at counterpunching, right? But it was a good competitive fight, and I think the draw was a fair decision, excluding the whole weirdness with the knee, right? It was a very competitive fight, and it was a fight where Tank Davis actually won rounds in. You guys gotta go think about the Frank Martin fight. His fight, one fight before this one. Look at the beating Tank took, bro. He had like swelling on his face. One of his eyes was like fucked up. He was eating jab after jab after jab. He was just getting pieced up the whole fight. And then he comes in here and he fights a good competitive fight. He's winning rounds. Like, I just don't understand the whole thing of like people are surprised. I mean, the only thing surprising about this fight is that he didn't get a knockout. If there was a robbery, then there's nothing surprising about that. I mean, look, like I said, this is the guy that butters the bread, right? All right, so what we're going to do right now, and again, this turkey thing, hopefully it ends this, but pros and cons, this might actually, I mean, for sure, it's going to get fighters really angry. Guys like the prima donnas, you know, the privileged fighters. I mean, I've been saying it on this channel. One of the most popular videos I put out was about Teofimo Lopez and what I called Teofimo beat racism, like something like that, right? And I said in there that people want to see the end of the era of Floyd Mayweather, of the privileged cherry picker. They want to see it, and this could actually be the end to that. And this is another reason why I was talking about Shakur before, because Shakur is another cherry picker, right? He's another, you know, anointed fighter, even though he's not exciting, and that's why he doesn't really make money. So he went to Bob Arum threw him in the fucking garbage, right? So he went with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is, you know, he's partnered up with Turkey. I remember seeing the video. It was one of these Riyadh fights, and you could see Shakur's walking with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's like, basically you could see him in the video, right? They're at the arena at the fight, and so he's like pointing at Turkey, and he's like introducing Crawford. Not Crawford. Oh my God, Shakur. Shakur comes up to Turkey. You could see the look in his face. You could see like a sense of intimidation. And Turkey speaking to him, I could tell the way he's speaking, his eyes, his contact with his eyes, that he's very matter of fact, very serious. And so you could see Shakur had like I said, it was a look of intimidation. He was probably very upfront with him. You're gonna make the big fights, maybe with something like that, right? So this guy's probably like, oh shit, you know, now I gotta have like real fights, and there's no getting around it. And so what I find the funniest is the fact that his very first fight with Turkey, the guy he's getting fucked with, the one he's about to fight, and pulls out of the fight. Is that just so convenient? You never really see it. The first real fight this guy's gonna have. I thought it was his first real fight. Guy was coming to win. Now he's got to pull out. But once again, in many ways, this is the end of the Diva era because there's only so many times Shakur can do this now. And this is maybe one of the reasons he's calling out Tank Davis, because he's cashing out. He's cashing out. He ain't getting special treatment no more. None of these guys are. From Shakur's own mouth, he said one of the reasons Tank would not come to Riyadh to have fights and work with Turkey is because he said he will not get special treatment. So Shakur, from his mouth, says that you don't get special treatment with Turkey, right? He exposed that. He exposed both himself and Tank, all right? So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the rest of this video. All right, what's up, Iceman? Thunderdome Boxing says Teddy been a sellout. Yes, he is. He's obsessed with the old guard, the ESPNs. You've said it. Thunderdome said it on his show before. He talked about it. Teddy Atlas is obsessed with being a company man. He just wants to get a steady payday. He doesn't like to work for himself in a lot of ways, right? But he's sort of not working for himself because these companies are for sure pushing him, right? His narratives are a lot of their narratives. Teddy Atlas, right? Whatever the trash they're talking about. Like I said, classism, right? He's on there right now pushing, what Tank Davis paid this guy off. Because like I said, it's not about the race narrative now. Now it's about class warfare. It's just about the classes, not the color. All right, let's watch this real quick.
We can reach our goals together.
Okay, so Turkey, obviously, I feel the same way. I work for the WWE. We have massive respect for the UFC and everything that Dana has accomplished, and obviously Ari and Mark. So I agree with everything you're saying there. Can you tell me a little bit more about the vision of having sports maybe be the bridge for Saudi Arabia and the rest of the world? And why is this the time that it is kind of happening, you think?
First of all, this is like a private business between us and TKO. Our citizen in our country, more than 70% of it is young people. We have a big vision from our leader, God bless him, the Crown Prince, the vision of 2030. One of the
you hear this guy? He literally brought up the division of 2030. He's bringing up the 2030 agenda, people. I saw Fight Film. He had a video that's very similar to a lot of stuff we put out over the last year, and I appreciate he's talking about this as well. This is part of the restructuring. That's what this is. This is why when you watch these Riyadh cards, it has 2030 agenda in there, right? I've seen symbolism in their videos about this. This guy's literally just straight up told people this is about the restructuring, the 2030 agenda, right? They're changing, they're diversifying their incomes in preparation for what's coming, right? So they're getting money from other places. They're putting a cup into all these different other pools, all right, or lakes, I guess, whatever.
Of this vision is the sport. We have a lot of big things. We have the World Cup. You have the World Cup in 26. We have it in 34. We have a lot of things. We have the Expo. We have a lot of big projects.
These guys are invested in everything. I put money that if you go and you look into this guy's investments, you're going to find investments in AI, chip making, like graphics cards or chips, like CPUs, robotics. Oh, everything. You're going to find all of it. They're putting all their money in there in preparation. They're using all that oil money and just sucking up all these different industries. They're literally these people are they're going to take the bulk of the money from boxing. That's why I say this is the end of the diva generation. And now they're going to start these guys are going to have to fight. They're going to have to fight each other. That is possibly one of the only positives of this.
For that, the sport is very important for us. We have now WWE around 10 years now. I have here in the room with me my brother Nick Khan. Come with us.
And baby Nick. And baby Nick. Congrats, Nick. Super genius, by the way. Super genius, Nick Khan. Absolutely right guy to make the decision. You look thin too, Nick. You look good right there. All the photos.
Listen,
yeah, you look good.
Listen, I haven't eaten in 6 weeks.
Smart.
So.
Okay, we get it, bro. You corny. I got to say it. Okay, Scott Iceman in the comments say, I heard the UFC will be training FBI agents. Yes, I heard that recently too. I mean, it sounds like some badass FBI agents, right? But that's just more of that, I guess, inside. It's nepotism. It's a lot of different things. Look, this guy's close in with Trump, right? Dude almost got to monopolize sports in many ways during that Corona thing, during the Merman. During that time period, this guy was one of the only shows in town. Boxing was struggling. They made it very hard. These guys had an island, supposedly. They had all kinds of stuff set up. So, you know, that Dana, that dude's in with some powerful people.
Oh,
Smart.
It helped.
Yeah, smart. Good to see you, Nick. Congrats on that.
The thing is that the company that purchased the UFC really needs to make back their investment. They want to make their investment back, so they're making big moves. Because UFC definitely right now, they sold at the perfect time. I think they were possibly at the greatest heights that they'll ever have. And so this is what they're doing to get into boxing. I wanted to see Dana in boxing. I've been saying that for a long time. I like the UFC structure. A lot of people go against it. They say, oh, they underpay their fighters. And we're going to watch a video with Paulie Malignaggi where he says that. But, you know, how much is what Pro Box TV fighters making there, Paulie? Look, you got a guy like Ngannou. He makes an argument about Ngannou. Ngannou's making loads of money, people. He's making a load of money. That structure where guys are making 50 mil a fight, like I said it in the beginning of the video, it's not gonna last, and it really isn't, because we're coming to the end of it. 50 mil for a fight, guys ducking fights, coming back, treating boxing like their piggy bank. How long do you think that's gonna go on? Are we happy with it? Of course not. We aren't. We're not seeing the fights, so we need somebody to step in and say, take it or leave it. You're either going to actually follow the ladder system and respect this sport, or you're gone. And not only will you be gone, but we're going to make it where you cannot fight in any other organization, if there are any others. This is what the UFC does right now. And a lot of people would go against that, right? But what would happen to those other organizations if these cherry-picking cowards were able to go to the other ones and they'd get paid tons? I mean, it destroys the entire structure. It just allows them a back door to get out. So they're like, oh, well, I can't cherry pick here, so I'll go cherry pick over there, right? I don't know if that's a good thing.
But you talk about your relationship with the WWE, Turkey, and I get a chance to chat with the superstars and the people from the WWE who have maybe gone over their first show until like most recent show. It feels like there has been quite an uptick in both welcome and also happiness for WWE coming to town.
Wait, did he say optic? Optic blast. Okay, sorry.
And also in the country as a whole. Do you feel that? Is that a real
thing? Of course. WWE and a lot of big franchise from America have a lot of fans in our country. There is a lot of studies here. There is a lot. Me, myself, I came here for a long time.
Iceman says the Turkey boss is worth 1.4 trillion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of effing money.
In New York saved me. The hospitals in New York saved me more than one time. WWE, great relationship. I want and I insist to say from here.
Actually, if anybody's coming down to New York City, you want to meet up, I'm going to be at the Ryan Garcia fight on May 2nd in New York City. It's happening in Times Square.
To my father, Vince McMahon, this is the man who we beginning together, and after that I continue with my brother Nick Khan. Great relationship, and now we are thinking in this league of boxing, with sharing the same vision between me and the GOAT, Dana White, we will success to reach very far place, inshallah, to the fans.
Yeah, so joining us now, speaking of the man you just referred to, ladies and gentlemen, Dana White, president of UFC.
Oh, there he is, Dana White, yeah. I remember when Dana White and him and Mike Tyson were doing video conferencing during the Merman, you know, that time period? Super deadly cough time. He was on camera, him and Mike Tyson are laughing. They're laughing the whole time. You got Mike Tyson come out. He's like, this is so exciting. So these guys are not what people think. These are not everyday people. These are the guys sitting on the thrones, with their other buddies. Not to say that they're kings of anything, but they're behind the curtain, right? They see behind the curtain. They're there with the wizard, right?
Hello, Dana. Dana, congratulations. Honestly.
Good morning.
We know you.
Thank you.
We know you started in boxing, love boxing, and you've been disappointed with the state of boxing. Feels like over the last few years since we've gotten a chance.
Is it just me or is it just me or does Dana White look like fucking Patrick Stewart? Battleship engage. Right? He looks straight. The older he gets, he looks more like Patrick Stewart. What the fuck? What is this? What is this guy? Is he really related to Patrick Stewart? Captain Picard himself? This guy in the middle looks like Stryker. Is that what's his name? Stryker or something? I forget his name. The guy who would sit on the chair, he would like turn it backwards. That guy, the one who would do the man spread before it was outlawed.
Chance to chat with you. What is the conversation like with what you're going to do? I saw you on First Take talk about the best, you're going to fight the best. We're not going to have all these titles. How do you go about doing that?
You see it, right? The best will fight the fucking best. This is what I called for a couple of years ago. It's happening, but it will come at the cost. They're going to structure it like the UFC. For sure, they're going to structure it like the UFC. And that may not be the worst thing. It will not. For fans of the sport, this will most likely make the sport better. So, once again, it's the end of the diva age.
Are you finding young fighters? Are you getting known fighters? What is the plan to kind of fill your roster?
Yeah, there's a lot of young talent out there, up-and-coming talent that people don't know about. And we're going to stack cards that start from the first fight of the night to the main event.
So there you go. He's admitting it. They're going to start taking talent, right? They're going to start taking all the talent. This is going to be the war of the talent finders. This is why I said, I think 2 episodes ago of this show, where I said that one of the reasons Oscar De La Hoya still exists, right, is because he has an amazing eye for talent. So these guys they're going to be real competitive behind the scenes probably. They're going to be offering these fighters huge sums of money in the beginning, possibly. I mean, they'd probably give him $1 million and that'd probably be it, right? Get him on a contract right away. That's the unfair thing. This is the thing that's most likely going to kill most of these promotions. I mean, these are ridiculously wealthy companies. Loads and loads and loads of money. They're bigger. Just one of these companies alone is way wealthier than any of the promotions out there, boxing promotions. Way bigger. So this is going to be that war. You don't see Oscar De La Hoya in here, but I guess he's already partnered up with Turkey. That's the most intelligent thing he could have done. That's why I said it in another stream. If you can't beat him, join him. Oscar will have his part in boxing. Even if Golden Boy goes under, he will still exist. And if I was Turkey, what I would do is I wouldn't even have Riyadh season. I would take Golden Boy, right? Take the name Golden Boy and give that the branding of my company. An established company, right? Golden Boy.
Act with good fights. You're going to see a lot of guys who are, undefeated, fighting each other to work their way up to win the world title. And, my big beef with boxing has always been nobody has ever invested back into.
Yeah, Iceman says good for fighters, not for fans and promoters. It's both good and bad for fighters. So if they structure it like the UFC, the guy at the top makes the biggest sums of money, right? Now, people will talk all day about Francis Ngannou. They're giving him this supposed small sum of money. I think it was millions of dollars. He was getting that guy was making millions of dollars every year. It's built on him actually fighting, right? He had to fight, right? You have to fight. You have to fight to make the money. Now there needs to be some improvements when it comes to healthcare, I think, for these fighters, for sure. They need to be getting some kind of funding, possibly even like lifelong healthcare, because they're involved in a very dangerous sport. I mean, in some ways, you could say, even though it is kind of degenerate, you're watching guys like punching each other in the face or kicking each other's heads off or whatever in the case of the UFC. But you got to offer these guys some protections. You can't just pay them, one time a mil, and the motherfucker gets kicked in the head, gets massive brain damage. That money's going to be gone. You're gonna have to offer them some more protections. All right. I'm fine with them making a couple of mil a year if they fight 3-4 times a year. What's wrong with that? It's a lot of effing money, right? You bring in some more safeguards, but look, once again, going back to the point of how it's better for fighters is that the guy at the top of the hill makes the biggest sum of money. Now, that's totally fine, I think, in a structure. They're all fighting towards that goal. Now, what you really need to do is you need to allow fighters to get to that goal. Because what we see in boxing right now is you have a lot of gatekeepers, both promoters and fighters. are preventing fighters from coming up and getting to that goal, right? So we're going to have to change the system in such a way that certain fighters, that even the title holders, may actually make less than a guy that's at the bottom. And I guess in a lot of ways that's already happening. But maybe we should get rid of that, right? Maybe the main goal, even if the guy has tons of charisma, the main goal should be to get to the title and win the title. And then I think if they're going to be doing this stuff when it comes to the restructuring and, one of the biggest things I think they should do is just do like the UFC and have singular titles for each division. They need to get rid of all this stuff like doing boxing. Got like fucking 3 different welterweight titles and multiple heavyweight titles. They need to get rid of all that shit, right? Just have these guys fight each other, and that's it.
The sport. You had all these promoters who take, and never reinvest. Nobody in the history of the sport has invested.
It's like, yeah, bro, they'll never reinvest. Yeah, you're going to reinvest it into your own fucking pockets, Dana, right? Is that what you're going to do? That's what they're going to do. But yeah, obviously, they're going to advertise the hell out of the sport. I mean, we got to admit it. I mean, the UFC, lately, boxing's done a great job with advertising. But the UFC's been doing a great job for a long time. Their advertising is way better. Maybe not now. Actually, boxing has made a big turnaround. Their advertising in the last 3 years has blown the UFC out the water. They're doing a great job with their advertising.
More money in boxing in such a short amount of time than Turkey has. He's very passionate about the sport. And literally none of this could have been done without a...
Iceman says, that comment was when you said, is cherry picking good? Yes. Sorry about that. Sorry. I just saw it right now. I thought it was to the thing I just said. But it is both good and bad. So the fighters on the come up will actually be able to fight the top fighters. That's what's going to happen. So if the biggest goal is at the top of the hill, then you will actually be able to make it there. Also, if the decisions are fair, then we won't see something like, a Floyd, be able to do whatever the hell he wants, right? Cherry pick and then win a fight on fucking holding guys like crazy. It'll be more about the health of the sport than the individual fighter like we see right now. And obviously, like I said, they need safeguards. You don't treat the guys like garbage, but you don't let a guy take advantage. And I mean, we've seen that with Tank Davis. Last Saturday, he's getting some special treatment in there for sure. But I'm going to go over that. We're going to watch this video. I've been going on this for a long time.
Guy like this coming into it.
Okay, so let's talk about that because we've watched the fights. Tyson Fury's had a few.
What's up,
There's
Technique?
been some other marquee fights that have happened over there in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, we got big stages, the big arena sellout. We are all watching from long. How many fights a year are you guys expecting to put on? And will they all be in? How is that? How will it all work out with kind of the logistics of this particular promotion, Dana?
Yeah, now that we've got the deal done, what we do now is to start to build the infrastructure. We got to build a team. Then we got to go out and get a rights deal. Once we get a rights deal, we can literally, whoever we end up doing a deal with, we can, structure this thing to whatever the network needs.
Most likely the reason that they're working with Turkey is because he already has a stable of... This guy, he already has a stable of fighters for the most part, right? Turkey is working with different promotions. He has those fighters. They're probably most likely going to try to buy them. Right, they're going to try to take them from these guys, from the Oscars and the all the promoters. What's the other one? What the hell? Queensberry. What's the other guy? I forget their names. The guy that promotes Tyson Fury. What's the name of that company? Is that Queensberry? And then you got Matchroom, and then you have the other guy Eddie Hearn. Is that Matchroom? I forget these guys the names of their companies. I think it's Queensberry, and then you have the guy Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, and the other guy. I forget his damn name. Then you got Bob Arum, right? You got the end of PVC, Al Heyman. You also got I think Shakur Stevenson. Who's he work for? Is he a Heyman fighter, or is he that whatever his name is? I forget the guy's name. I forget a lot of things. It is very late, people. Well, anyway, the point is they're gonna get mixed up with Turkey, and they're gonna start getting those fighters in house. Now, maybe they might not be able to take over their contracts, but they're gonna get they're going to get paid some money, both them and their promoters initially. But eventually the goal, most likely, what I think, is to find talent and to also buy many of the current talent, right? And put them part of this promotion, which is dangerous stuff. But I'm pretty sure Turkey isn't going to allow that. He's just going to work with these guys and allow them to sort of build up their business because this is what allows them to get into the boxing business very quickly, right? They're going to borrow. They're going to kind of like rent these fighters in a way, possibly, right? That's the way I see it. And Dana White, which is really funny about this, is that in some ways he's going to have to work with Oscar De La Hoya because, like I said, Oscar's mixed in with Turkey. So you might see guys like Ryan Garcia on one of these Dana White kind of cards, and he's going to be fighting other fighters, right? They're building their brand. That's what they're doing. They're going to build their brand while they're buying fighters. It's most likely what they're doing.
We can put on as many fights as they want.
But the funniest part about it is that we're probably going to see Oscar De La Hoya sitting with Dana White at some point. He's going to be sitting right next to him, and Dana's going to have to be on his best behavior. He really is. Obviously, he should be afraid of Oscars. I think Oscar could literally beat the shit out of him. He really could. I saw Oscar recently hitting the heavy bag. I was like, this dude's hands are ridiculously fast. Like, yeah, Dana White's real tough when Oscar's not in the room with him, but it's just comical. It's funny, people. After all this shit, these guys are now come full circle when it comes to UFC. This guy started with boxing. UFC was doing real well, but now we're starting to see it kind of fall a little bit. And look who comes back. Dana White, now back to boxing.
And when we started the UFC, they had like 12 contracts, and everybody started to fight each other. You get the best available in the world. They work their way up. We're going to have Olympians. We're going to have guys that are already undefeated out there and have established records. Plus,
I didn't put the file into the show, but recently there was a story I saw where you had Serrano, Jake Paul, part of Jake Paul's company, whatever the hell that's called. She signed to a lifelong contract. I don't know if that's a legal thing. I don't know if that's legal, but that's pretty weird and kind of creepy. So we might end up seeing contracts like that. She signed onto a lifelong contract. I think that article came out like a day or two ago. Pretty interesting.
Turkey has a lot of commitments for some of the big fights with some of the guys that are out there right now. So there's a lot of fun, exciting fights to make out there. And you know how I run shows. The live event will all change. It will be much better than anything you've ever seen before. You won't have one fight and then a podcast happens and then another fight happens 45 minutes later.
Turkey's very insulted by that. Dana, no, we will have Eminem and Busta Rhymes and Missy Elliott. I love Missy Elliott. Dana, don't you dare say that. We will still do the Riyadh version of The Price is Right, won't we? We will, or you will be killed. Shakur, slap him! Oscar, slap him! Dana's gonna be like, no, don't hit me, no. I hate to lose.
And you see 4 fights in 6 hours.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is going to change when we start running the show.
The in-arena show is obviously going to be something special, especially with WWE even being a part of it. I mean, UFC and WWE.
Oh my God, are we going to see The Rock in there? The Rock's going to have a boxing fight versus Butterbean?
WWE being a part of the production is going to make that a must-be at event in Turkey. So now you have golf, you have you had boxing matches, you had soccer, you had fighting. Why was boxing the next one that you wanted to focus in on? Why was this the next play, you think, for you and for Saudi Arabia? Just love of sport?
Yes, of course. And with the support of my boss, the Crown Prince, God bless him. He's like to support anything for the young generation. We discovered a chance in the boxing. I like boxing. He gave me the files, and
I like boxing. Oh wow, that's kind of weird. We didn't think so. Maybe he doesn't like it that much. Does he really have to tell us? I like boxing. Yeah, you've invested supposedly billions of dollars into it. I would think you probably like boxing.
He supports me a lot, and then with the right people, I think we will success. Behind Dana, very big experience. He have the machine of the TKO, and he's bulldozer. He will go and clean the way, and we behind him. I give him yesterday the flag and the headache in the same times, and I said to him, come on, clean the field.
So I guess he's saying this, what he's going to do most likely, clean the field. Let me guess what he's going to clean it out, right? Monopolize. That's what Dana White does. They monopolize. He's telling them to clean the field. What do you think they mean by that? What do they mean? He knows what he means. They're talking about monopolizing. This is what Dana does, right? He buys companies. He does all kinds of stuff. He destroys fighters. For example, Francis Ngannou. A lot of people would say, oh, well, because I would say, hey, maybe that Gane fight looked kind of fishy to me, bro. And so I say, maybe they fixed it. And people would say, well, oh, you're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist and all that shit. It's like they act like there's no such thing as a conspiracy. And we're talking about bragging rights that is worth millions and millions, possibly tens of millions of dollars, right? When it comes to John Jones. Having bragging rights to the best heavyweight champion in the world in the UFC is a very big thing. It's worth a lot of money. So one of the best things they could do is get this guy to come back, this Jones guy, right? He steps in there because Ngannou's taking their heavyweight title, and he's got the fuck out of there, right? He didn't like what they were paying him, so he's like, I'm out of here. So what the UFC likes to do is when fighters leave their organization, they try to destroy them in the public eye. Ronda Rousey, they said, oh, they start building up the lady that beat her, right? Amanda Nunes, right? She beat her, so obviously she's the greatest woman of all time. But I thought we don't believe in triangle theory, right? Right? But I thought, what did they say? Styles make fights, right? Well, look, if styles make fights, then I'd say that Ronda Rousey's maybe one of the best, if not the best woman fighter of all time, because her style was beating all of them. And it wasn't just beating them. It was beating them in possibly some of the fastest fights you'll ever see in women's MMA. She's destroying them in seconds. She beat this woman, Kat Von D. She beat Kat Zingano, right? Kat Zingano, and she beat Kat Zingano literally in seconds. Kat Zingano ran at her, boom, rolled her over, boom, an instant submission. If she wanted to, if it was real life, she would just broke her damn arm in pieces. She would just broke her arm. She had her in this submission move, and she let go, obviously, because the ref tells her to let go. But she was going to break her arm. Kat Zingano fought Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes got her ass whooped. She lost to Kat Zingano. So how does Dana White come out when Ronda Rousey says, you know what, I'm done with MMA? And what do? They shit on her, and they call this other woman the best. Joe Rogan just shitting on her all day. This is the same guy that says that Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather, that she could beat Cain Velasquez. They're building her up to no end. Now she leaves the company, and that's it. You're gone. Oscar De La Hoya actually said this a few days ago in an interview. He said Dana White basically is a petty guy. Basically, he says like he's a piece of trash. And so is Joe Rogan. Called them both out in what he calls Clapback Tuesdays or whatever the name of it is. He called both those guys out. He says Joe Rogan doesn't want him on the show because he's basically Dana's little bitch, right? And so like I'm saying, is that these guys are in the business of keeping that ship airtight. So when their talent gets out, they destroy them. And they'll do the same thing to boxers. They'll do the same thing. Their marketability will go down. They need to destroy that product if they can't control it. And this is what they did. They tried to do to Francis Ngannou. He left. And I think in a lot of ways, the Gane fight might have been a setup in order to make Francis Ngannou look bad, right? Because Francis Ngannou went the distance with Gane, right? They went 5 rounds. John Jones comes in there and boom, like nothing, he somehow submits him. Dude comes in there looking like the Black Homer Simpson, and he's able to submit a guy who's never been submitted. Yeah, and he does it like it's nothing. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, the guy was built, that guy Gane was built like Anthony Joshua, but like more like athletic, right? A lot more athletic. He bounced on his toes, got head kicks, knees, everything. Elbows. He's stuffing takedowns from everybody, right? And submission. He's stopping submissions, but he fights John Jones. Boom, gets finished in seconds. Seems a bit fishy to me.
The bulldozer.
You got to bulldoze him. Remember, Turkey over here smiling, big smile. They know Dana is the master of monopolies. This is what he's done with the UFC, and now he's bringing it to boxing.
Oh, White, what a nickname. I can't wait for that. Now, speaking of Dana, making these fights, finding these fighters, Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Dana, do you foresee any of your UFC guys wanting to get in the boxing ring now with this relationship? And in the future, will
people,
you
know what? I haven't watched this full video, but I know what he's going to say. But I'm kind of thinking he won't say it. He might say, yeah, I'll put some UFC guys in there, but he might not. Because I think it hurts the UFC if he puts them in there versus boxers. The best thing he could do for the UFC is keep these two entities separate when it comes to the fighters. Don't mix them. No, it's not even smart to mix them at the ends of their careers. Because it's very important that you keep those guys as legends. The worst thing you can do is have like a Jake Paul knock out one of your legends. It's terrible for the sport. It's terrible for the integrity of it, right? And that in a lot of ways, Jake Paul has made a career. I mean, he must really hate Dana White. He truly must hate him because what he's doing is just like gold. It's fucking perfect psychological warfare. And it's being done in the public. He's hurting the UFC in a big way. Really is. Maybe there's somebody paying Turkey. He's like, here, Jake. Here, have your money. Here, fight Masvidal next. Knock him out next. Do it.
Guys have any events where there will
Dana's
be
like,
an octagon
I'm melting.
next to a boxing ring, and we could see this all come together?
Ooh.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car
All
insurance
right.
by checking
So we've gone
Allstate
to
first.
we've gone to commercial break for a second there. We are going to go look at some other stuff other than this. 1 second. I hate the fact that this is playing this shitty commercial. I don't want to watch a commercial, okay? All right, so we're waiting for this commercial to go by. I'm going to watch a little bit more of this. Technique in the comments says, I'm not sure if this TKO thing will take off. Technique, I spoke about it, what they're trying to do. They're trying to monopolize boxing. This is why they have Dana White. Dana White's going to be the guy to spearhead it. Like Turkey just said, he's going to bulldoze through. What do you think he means? He's going to go straight through the competition. He's going to shovel them up. He's going to get rid of them. Like I said, they're going to be offering, these guys got a lot of money. And so they're going to be investing a lot of that into current talent. But the thing is, they're going to own the industry most likely because the Oscar does not have deep pockets like this, right? They're going to be offering these giant paydays. And if they own most of the talent, then everyone else is going to be second to them, second fiddle. This is just the same with the UFC. A lot of people will say, oh, no, there's better organizations. There's one and all that, right? But no, most people are watching the UFC. Most people. It doesn't matter. Everything else is second to the UFC when it comes to MMA. And in boxing, they're going to try to become the biggest promotion in town. There might be some little stragglers, but even those little stragglers will lose their best talent to the UFC. We've seen it recently with the UFC. They bought Michael Benin Page, something like that. His name is. They're buying out all the best talent all the time because they got the deep pockets. So this is just the way it is. Boxing for a long time, they had purely boxing guys in these promotions, purely boxing guys. These guys got investments all over the place. These are massive companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The Oscar De La Hoya in many ways cannot compete with these guys. He can't. But he will. I think he will exist still because he's got a great eye for talent, and he always has. This is why, because he was a boxer. That's about one of the reasons, maybe. Right? He knows competition. He knows what's dangerous. He looks at a fighter and he's like, bro, he's probably thinking of himself like, if I fought that guy, he's like, the guy's really good. Maybe that. I mean, he's always getting the talent. You know, who's the guy who brought Canelo? It's Oscar. All those guys you saw on PBC are all Oscar. They're all Oscar guys. Some of the best talent you see today in boxing was all scouted by Oscar. And Bernard Hopkins, you know, those guys. So, and he still can compete in some ways, but he'll never be on this level. These guys got so much money, they could just buy up everyone. But they're only going to get that one sum of money. That's what it's going to be, most likely. And it'll only go so far. And it probably won't last forever because it's the money, you know. When another if these guys are paying these guys like the UFC, then another promotion might come out of nowhere and, you know, start offering more, and we end up in the same situation again. It's interesting, that's for sure. But give me 1 second. Okay, bring this audio back.
Guys in the MMA, but we'll never have that. Listen, when you go to see a boxing match, Turkey has put on some of the best fights that couldn't be made in the last 30 years, in the short time that he's been in the sport. And when you ask him about, why get into boxing, I mean, this guy is incredibly passionate about the sport. Much like when me and the Fertittas got involved in the UFC, this is exactly what boxing needed. A guy like this to come in, bring it all together, make the big fights happen. And now, like he said at the beginning of this call, we are aligned in how we feel this needs to be built from the ground up, and we're just going to restructure the entire sport of boxing.
Yeah,
so much restructuring, huh, people? Like, build back better. We're seeing so many transformations coming into the new world. It's insane. There's so much of it. And here's another one.
it'll be great for the sport of boxing to be all the way back. You know, I know you have your feelings, and obviously you've stated them there about the influencer and celebrity boxing matches. But Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather fighting different people, that was bringing a lot of attention to the sport. I think now, if you're able to showcase the greats of the sport, I think you're in a good time to hook them. Don't you think, Dana, to get the sport all the way back?
Well, those fights are always going to exist. They're always going to happen. Whenever you get, a couple of famous guys that want to fight each other that don't necessarily box, that's always going to be there. What we care about is finding the young, up-and-coming talent and building these fights up to find out who the best is in each weight class. And there won't be 6 different champions in each weight class.
Like I said, I didn't even watch this video. I saw very little bit of it, and everything he's saying is exactly what we want. It's exactly what we want. And like I said, they're building the UFC model. That's what they're doing. That's why you got Dana White here. That's why he's there. Right? They're building the UFC model. It's a monopoly. And yes, in some ways there's pros and there's cons. For the most part, the pros will be for the fans. The cons will most likely be for the fighters. So if they're going to be doing this, hopefully they do need some kind of protections, because these really are, and I understand these people have volunteered for this, but these are very dangerous, right? Very dangerous sports. So they have to have some kind of protection if they're not making these huge sums of money. But I mean, come on, people. I said it before on the show. These cops are going out there every day and risking their fucking lives. They ain't making 100, this crazy sums of money. But then that goes back to the thing I said earlier about when you make these huge sums of money, you have no incentive to even work anymore. So the wheels of civilization don't roll anymore. And that's not even natural. It's not natural, for like, you imagine like an animal in nature. What are we going to do? We're just going to gather enough nuts to sit on our asses for the rest of our lives? Right? We go out one day and just gather as many as we can. That's not the way the world really works. And that's why a lot of things spoil. Like, we try to keep things from not spoiling when it comes to food. It's sustainable, and it just that wheel just keeps rolling. When it comes to this kind of, this artificial system, which is trying to kind of replicate what God's created in a lot of ways, but it's also adding its own new layer, which is this kind of system where you can kind of work the system. And now you basically don't even have to work anymore. And that's not how it works within reality. This is some kind of new version of reality that, man has created. I'm getting a little deep there. All right, let's hear this.
Class, there will be one. You will know who the best heavyweight is, who the best light heavyweight is, who the best, you know what I mean? And you can literally start calling up, if you start asking people, fans of the sport, who's the champion at this weight? Who's the champion this weight? People will actually know.
Okay, now boxing is next. Go ahead, Turkey. Go ahead.
If you excuse me, also we care about you, the young generation. When I came to the boxing, I have a lot of studies. The average of the fans now became 40 plus. The reason no one want to take the risk in the big fights, as Dana said, long event, different platform to see the event, no big fights. For that, the young generation doesn't care. Now we are focusing a lot in the same times, also with UFC. In the same times, we want video games, we want animation, we want movies, we want a lot of things.
All right, so that he's doing. He's just copying me. That's what it is. I got all the video game stuff and all that in my streams. What an asshole. That's just a fact, as I said it. So he's talking about the advertising, how they're trying to sell it to a new generation, right? Look at Dana White, how he looks all evil. He's like, what are you trying to do? Make it gay? What's happening? Look at him. He looks evil. He looks like evil Patrick Stewart. He really does. He's looking at Turkey. He's like, shut up.
Merchandise. This is a lot of things will happen. And with the relationship with TKO, they have the experience.
TKO.
And the relationship with this man,
TKO.
This man built franchise from scratch. We will success. And I want to tell you a secret.
Success.
If he allowed me, ask him which the first event fight he will have in September. Ask him if you want to answer.
Hey, Dana, I have a question for you. Birdie just dropped in my ear the first event that's happening in September. I didn't know if you knew anything about that or anything going on.
Well, these are things that we want to pump.
That dude there is just a little too big to be crossing his legs like that. He looks very uncomfortable. He needs to stop doing that. He's sitting in that chair in a really weird way.
Brakes on and announce these things when you do it right. My friend Turkey gets
all right, look, he heard me. Wow.
of us to go out and talk about
September.
this.
Congratulations, boys. Yeah. Congrats. We're happy for you. That is awesome. Well, go ahead, Dana.
We actually are getting together with him tomorrow. We're going to shoot some content, and when it's time to announce.
All right, they're shooting some content. Okay, I got Manos in the comments says, IMO, in my own opinion, I don't think you can monopolize boxing. It's not in the nature of the sport. Otherwise, why hasn't it been monopolized already? I think in a lot of ways it's money. Also, you have to understand, like, you know, all systems break down. So they have to, they kind of got to make it airtight. Like I said, once you build up this promotion as the biggest stage in town, right? Everybody wants to be there. That's what they have to do. They have to build themselves as being the best place to be. The only place that has the best talent. So if you're fighting anywhere else, you're not really fighting the best. And when they make it, like they make the titles, where you have a ladder system, right? The best versus the best, and you have an individual title in each division. Now people look at all the other competition that's all flooded with many, many titles, right? All these different sanctioning bodies. And by comparison, this new venture with Dana White is probably going to look way more organized and just all around better. Like these guys, you see what they're saying? They're talking about loading, pouring money into advertising, right? They're just going to build this thing up in every way. They're going to try to load it up with the best fighters they have. They're going to have singular belts for each division. They're going to have the best fighting the best. They're going to stack cards, probably initially. They're going to be stacking all these cards with the best of the best because they're going to load up the sport with so many fighters, right? And that's just what they're doing. They're just going to build it up like crazy. They're going to put loads of money behind it. Way more money than Al Heyman could put into his promotion, right? We already see it, guys. Look at just promotion by itself. Look at the promotion of the Riyadh cards compared to what Heyman's put out in the last 10 years. Not even one advertisement adds up to the Francis Ngannou AJ advertising, right? Or what you see with some of it is bizarre, the advertising. It doesn't make sense for boxing. Like the one with AJ where everyone's being killed. It's weird. But they are putting a lot of effort behind pushing boxing back. And what Turkey said there is important. He's trying to push it back into the mainstream. So in a lot of ways, like I said earlier, the way he sees it is it's not about an individual fighter. It's about the health and the survival of the sport. This is why he said the average viewer of boxing that now is in their 40s. That's like for the most part, the most common viewers in their 40s. So what he's trying to do, he said it there, is that they're trying to revitalize the sport through one of the ways they're doing it is through advertising, right? You see the ads, they're tailored in a way where anybody can be like, whoa, that looks like a really cool movie. And you see like going back to the Ngannou thing, you saw like this kind of video game stuff in there, and they're trying to make it more like the youth. They're trying to bring people back in. And I think they're really doing a really good job in a lot of ways. The last crescendo was creepy, the way they put it out, but it's intriguing, right? It's captivating. People watch that who don't even watch boxing, and they're going to be like, wow, that's weird. What is that? Right? It looks like this big event. And that's really what you want to do. In a lot of ways, boxing over the last, with the old guard, with the Bob Arums and all that, the promotion's been kind of garbage. It's kind of garbage. The advertising is garbage. It's just not good. Hopefully they can revitalize it. And that's a big investment. They're putting a lot of investments into it. But in the end, what I see is for the most part, fighters aren't going to make as much as they do now, possibly. The top of the top will make. But I mean, that's what happens now. The top of the top is what makes the majority of the money in boxing. The only thing is that they just make too much. I mean, look, it's weird for a fighter to cherry pick. I mean, look, you give him a good amount of money if he actually fights the top competition. But if he's cherry picking, why is he making 30 mil? Why is he making 50 mil? He got a fucking $200 million contract to fight 5 bums. That's not a good model. That is destroying the sport because fans are going to be like, I'm not watching this shit. So the promoters that paid this motherfucker aren't making back their investment, right? They're not making it back. The fans are unsatisfied. The only one who's satisfied is the fucking cherry picking bum. That's the only one who's satisfied. And you'll always see that motherfucker come up and build himself up, right? He'll build himself up. And then the media's got to push him because these motherfuckers put the investment in. So they're still hoping to make back their damn investment. And they're not going to make it.
We have a massive fight. Literally, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. A massive fight that only this guy could make happen. This man right here is the only guy that could make a fight like this happen. And
Together, brother, together.
Together, we are friends now. I love you, my brother.
This is the guy that has literally brought boxing back. Today is day one. We're making.
He brought it back, and Dana's gonna bulldoze through for the big old win, right? He's bringing it home. The promotion, they see it. It's weaker than ever in boxing. This is the kill, the big kill. It's almost they got it. It's in the bucket already. Look at these promotions you have out here. This guy Turkey came in, and by himself, this guy barely knows the industry, right? These guys, these other promoters, you see these motherfuckers been in this industry for over 60 years, some of them. Like Aram, 60 years, possibly? Maybe a little too much. Somewhere around 50 years, I would say. 50, around there, maybe a little more. That's a lot of time, people, for this man over here, Turkey, to just come in and just like that, just washing him away, just by himself without even trying. Now, he did try. Obviously, he's got a team, a very good team. You got Oscar in there. That's guy he don't get enough credit. He doesn't. Amazing eye for talent. The guy went from the guy that was in a company that got robbed blind. He built himself back up, and now he's looking at PVC as it's falling down that pit. Right. Goodbye, bye, PVC. Right. They're going bye. Oscar's sitting back up on that hill. And he's standing there with Turkey Al-Sheikh, right? And now Dana White's coming in. This is the kill guy right now. This is somebody said in the comments, freaking team of assassins. That is the assassin right there. That's why Turkey and they're laughing and smiling because he's going to do exactly what he did to the UFC. All right.
Our announcement, and we're going to start building this sport back up from ground zero.
Well,
awesome,
like I was saying, I didn't finish. Get to my point. I think Turkey by himself with just a couple of people in Oscar, basically almost killing every promotion. They're just killing all of them almost. That's why they're all joining with Turkey, right? And now you got Dana coming in, and he's probably just gonna killing blow. That's like I said. That's it. That's why they're calling him in. That's why he's teamed up with them, right? This is what he's doing. I think in a lot of ways, this is really the real Riyadh season, whatever you call it. It's with Dana. If anything, it wouldn't be shocked if Dana exclusively works for Turkey at some point, right? It's funny because that really, really this guy here, he's monopolizing. So it's weird that he would call him in. Also the Oscar and all that. I'm losing my train of thought here. It's just crazy they would call this guy in. It's full circle. It's interesting. But I really think he's going to bring Dana in. I think there's a big chance that Dana might actually stop pushing the UFC the way he has. Because that's a lot of things to push, people. To have your mind into two industries, to really be pushing these two different sports. I think most likely he's going to stick to boxing. Because this guy's going to pay him very well to do this. He's going to get paid really well. But, right, like going back to what I was saying, you have these multiple promoters working with Turkey. I think the end goal for Turkey is to create his own stable of fighters. And I think those are going to combine together with this new team of people.
September 4th, the world's going to change, man.
Let's go.
By people, I mean corporations, these very large multi-billion-dollar companies.
September 5th, maybe. Maybe September 6th. Who knows what day
What is it?
Yeah, September 20th.
Maybe September 12th.
Oh, okay, maybe. Maybe it sounds like maybe it's September 12th. The sport of boxing will change forever. Okay, I'm excited to watch what you guys do with boxing.
Why would you choose September 12th? Why is that? Why? Because it's after 9/11? Like what that? Why would he choose that specific number, right?
But I think your investment into sport is a cool thing from our perspective. Because, whenever it started and it started getting loud, it became a political conversation. It became a lot of negative conversation. But like investing in sport and in athletes, it is like, it's very easy to see why the world is so much more similar than it is divided. We all love people competing. We all love sports.
Oh my God. This guy's getting deep. He's getting like me over here. He's got Cartman on that table and a luchador mask.
We all love athletes. We all love people earning what they've worked for and getting what they deserve. So we would like to know what's next after the boxing. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Turkey. Obviously, Pat mentioned all
Wait, is this guy's name fucking Con Man? Con Man? Did he really just say that? He's like, oh, we want people to make what they deserve. Con Man?
those other sports, and I think
After the boxing, go ahead, con man.
yeah, Turkey obviously.
Con man. Let's see this guy's name. I gotta put the subtitles on for that. He goes from saying, "Oh, people deserve their money," immediately goes to a guy named Con Man.
So we would like to know what's next after the boxing. Go ahead, con man.
Yeah,
Yeah, his name is fucking Con Man. It's perfect segue. Oh, the fighter's getting what they deserve. Con Man. Wait, was he pointing at Dana?
Turkey, obviously, Pat mentioned all those other sports, and I think golf more than anything was benefited greatly from LIV. Are there any other kind of projects, any other sports you're interested in getting into? There was reports about basketball potentially, I believe, last month. Is there anything like that on the docket as well?
There is a lot of project. The responsible about it, the Prince Abdulaziz, the Minister of Sport, Abdulaziz bin.
I'm not gonna watch that. It's not important. There's too much competition there. Basketball, it's just too much, people. I don't think they're going to want to take that on. They could monopolize. I mean, in a lot of ways, it already is monopolized. The NBA is like the biggest show in town, right? But I don't know if I'd see them doing that. I don't know if I could see it because there's just obviously that is another thing you could take a hold of. Because look, basketball players make too much money. All these sports, they make too much money. I mean, if any sport guys are going to make a good amount of money, who should make a good amount of money, are boxers, because boxers are it's one of the most dangerous sports next to soccer. I think it's pretty damn dangerous. The guys getting brain damage all the time. They should make a good amount of money, really, for what they do. They shouldn't be divas and cherry pick all day. They should try to thrive to be the best in their sport. Because look, we're watching this, and we care about the integrity of it. If you guys are here to not only make a living for your family and your family, your future. Your offspring, in many ways, they make enough money to pay for their families, right? And that's good. That's a good thing because they are in a lot of ways making a sacrifice. But hopefully in the future, all the people that make sacrifices get what they deserve, and I mean that in a good way, not a bad way. Because obviously boxers aren't they aren't saints over here, people, but they work a dangerous job, so people should be getting a wage that is fitting for what they do. Right, not some motherfucker that dunks a ball shouldn't be making more than a guy that is risking his life every single fucking day. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna look at some other info, other things I've compiled here. It's just some more stuff about the things we're talking about. That is the monopoly, people. I showed you, it's coming. I actually in a lot of ways called for this one. I'm not a fan of the monopolies, but really, if the structure is good. People could take it or leave it, and that probably is the end goal of this. It's you take it or you leave it. If you want to be a boxer, you got to fight on the ladder system. This is the thing that this is going to bring back. I do like what Dana White's saying about the one title. I love the UFC system. That is the best, right? When it comes to titles, one welterweight champion, just one heavyweight champion. We don't need 20 welterweight champions, okay? We don't need the W whatever champion and the W this champion. We don't want it. Okay? That also allows for ducking. Okay? So right now, what we're going to do, I'm going to go to the little sports room. And then we're going to watch a little bit of this. We're going to read some info about this Tank guy, about what happened on Saturday. And we're going to analyze some of the stuff that happened before he went down to a knee. And that's going to be a lot of fun, people. But before we do that, we got to watch a trailer for Kickboxer 3, the greatest of the kickboxers, while I go to the little sports room.
Wildest city. Now, the most powerful martial arts saga of all time continues. Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. Imagine that somebody killed your brothers. Imagine that somebody set you up for a decade of hard time.
I get busted trying to bring a major dealer to the U.S. for trial, and weren't supposed to kill him. It was him or me.
Now imagine if that same person had stolen your wife.
It's been 2 years. She's probably dead.
But David Sloan will have one chance to save the woman he loves.
Every Day of the Dead, Tong Po invites all the top fighters from around the world to compete at his compound. The winner takes on Po for $1 million. We know you want to rescue your wife. The prime mission here is the elimination of Po.
I'll find Vicky tonight and get this thing over with.
Every contest today is a fight to death. Jackson, Wilson, center the ring. Let's go.
What was that? Was that Arturo Gatti? I don't know if you guys ever watched this film, but this has, I've talked about it on the show before. This guy has a face that looks like rubber. Like you could tell they put prosthetics all over his face. And then the guy looks like E.T. Like that's how fake his face looks.
Finish it.
I need to know where Tom Poe keeps.
I've said it before. That is the worst sound to put into there. It sounds like somebody's crushing a fly. Like, right? What the hell is up with that? Why would you put that sound in there?
I need to know where Tom Poe keeps a woman. And how to.
Shit.
I need to know where Tom Poe keeps a woman. And how to get to her.
I gotta find a way in there.
I gotta find a way in there.
There's a trespasser in the containment area.
Sound the alarm. I want the intruder alive. Sloan!
There it is, people. Look at this. How dare they release this film? That is not Tom Poe. We know it, bro. That dude looks more like Goro. He looks like Tom Poe. Look at his face. Look at him. E.T. phone home. He looks like that female fighter Cyborg, which is another fighter that Dana White actually destroyed after she left the UFC.
Sloan!
In a world of no return,
Lawrence, Black, center the ring.
there can be only one winner.
Finish it!
There can be only one survivor.
Hold it, or she's dead.
The kickboxer.
All right, Iceman says just like when Haney had all the 4 belts at 135, they still was pushing Tank. Tank was a 135 champion. Yeah, exactly, man. You cannot do that. That is one of the things that is completely destroying boxing. I just hate the fact, and this is why I don't even pay attention to belts. Like I don't even care that much about what belt fights with belts, because who gives a shit? All you really got to do is watch the fighters. Right? Just watch the fighters, look at their skill levels, and you can go and you can pair these guys up. You just look at them, and you can see that guy would beat that one. Right? This is, again, going back to the Shakur thing. I saw that kid Austin dude beating Shakur all day. Now, that kind of thing's not going to stop. You're always going to have corruption in this stuff. You're going to have fighters that fuck with other fighters, most likely. But it is hurting the bigger companies, so maybe they might start banning guys or being harder on fighters that are taking money out of the fighters, taking up money out of the promotion's pockets. Really, I mean, you're not going to really have rival promoters. You're going to have a promotion who's trying to put on good cards so that they can make their investment back many times. But they're going to make their investment back. That's for damn sure, because they're going to have such a large stable of fighters, and there's not going to be much other outlets in town, so they're going to be getting the bulk of the money. So they're going to be able to set up bigger cards. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be better for the fighters. And not for the fighters, for the fans. And it's going to be better for the sport. So when you say this thing about Haney and Tank, those guys ain't going to be ducking each other. They're going to be forced to fight each other. Not forced. They can opt out. They could say, I don't want to fight. But they would have to not fight. You see this all the time in the UFC. The guys, they give them a fight. It's a hard fight. You notice this with kind of cowardly fighters in the UFC. They'll come out and say, oops, I hurt my foot. I hurt my leg. You see it all the time. You guys do watch these UFC cards, when they have a stacked one, you're going to notice all kinds of guys pulling out of these fights. Oh, I got an injury. Oh, my leg hurts. Oh, I broke my toe. I got a cold. See it all the time. It's still going to happen. But when they come out from their cold, they're going to have to step in the ring versus that fighter. They're going to have to fight the fighter. We saw this with John Jones, right? Look at John Jones. He fought this guy Reyes. He got his ass whooped, right? What did he do? He went into a retirement. Because the next fight Dana White wanted, was for him to fight Reyes again. And what did he do? He fucking retired. He came back 3 years later, and he went 3 or 4 years later, went up in weight to cherry pick the bums at the top. And at this point, the UFC, I think, is having some problems. So maybe they helped him out a little bit, right? For bragging rights. The heavyweight division is in the shit can in the UFC. They helped him in a way. So we do see that. We see guys kind of working the system a little bit. But in the UFC, they have to literally like fake injuries or get sick or whatever. There's some other cases I wish I could remember. But yeah, that's some of them. The guys got to like basically retire or fake that they're sick. Another example would be George St. Pierre. He fought this guy, Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks wiped the floor with him. That's a fact. People wanted to say that fight was close. I rescored it. If If you want to watch the rescore, it's on Food TV. It's on our channel. We did a rescore. That guy, Johnny Hendricks, from what I saw, he won 4 of the 5 rounds. He completely schooled GSP in wrestling and striking. Beat his ass. That's why I have the poster there. That guy is possibly one of the greatest welterweights in UFC history. He took their supposed greatest welterweight and wiped the floor with him. And everyone wants to come out after the fact and say, oh, he's a cherry picker. Not a cherry picker, sorry. He's a drug cheat. It's like, bro, GSP was a drug cheat. And guess what? With all those steroids, he still got his ass whooped. The dude wiped the floor with him. A guy that was known to not eat very well. And this is one of the reasons he couldn't make the weight that well anymore. You know, he's eating hamburgers and drinking fucking Coca-Colas, chewing tobacco and all that. And he just didn't make the weight well. But he did win that title. He won it twice. He beat GSP and then he beat Lawler, right? Another top welterweight. But that was another example of a guy ducking. Because look, they got such a tight hold on MMA, the UFC. They had contracts, GSP's contracts. So you know what he had to do? Dana White wanted an immediate rematch with Johnny Hendricks versus GSP. What did GSP do? He retired. He fucking retired from MMA. And then he came back heavier. So he went up in weight, right? Of course, in order to bypass the welterweight at the time was Johnny Hendricks still. He had beaten Robbie Lawler. I think it was still Hendricks, or it might have been Lawler at the time. But he went up, and he looked like a big fat bubble, right? He was a bloated guy, most likely juiced to the gills. He goes up, he fights a guy who won on a fluke. Michael Bisping, a very good fighter, but he had one freaking eye. He had one eye, right? He had one eye, and he fought GSP. He beat the shit out of GSP, and then he got choked. He got hit with a shot he couldn't see because he only had one eye. And this was at the end of Bisping's career. So I say this because this is the lengths these guys are going to have to go through in the future in order to avoid their mandatories. This is what they do in the UFC. They have to go to do all kinds of gymnastics, right? This guy got to go and retire for multiple years, come back all fat, and fight a fighter at the end of his career. But let's hope that when they if they do bring in this new system and they're successful, that fighters won't be able to do that. And they'll just say, well, we know you're natural weight. You cannot eat yourself up and fight a bum. If you want to go and fight in the top weight, you were a top welterweight. So if you want to go up to a weight above, then you got to fight the top guy at middleweight. Not a guy, well, the top guy. You cannot fight the champion. You got to fight the top guy. First, you fight the number one contender. You fight him, and then you can fight the champion. Because flukes do happen, people. Flukes happen. Michael Bisping won that title in the UFC on a fluke. He was fighting a younger guy who had destroyed him in the first fight. He clipped the guy, why he had the one eye, and then GSP was able to just leapfrog all the way to the very top guy of the division. I hope I don't see that in this restructuring, as they call it, right? It's all restructuring. But all systems break down, so we probably will, for sure, we will see corruption because like all structures, you see like a building at some point or in a garden, at some point weeds are going to get in there and they're going to start strangling everything and everything breaks down at some point. But with that said, we do still have some weeds in boxing. We have many, many, many. So we're going to be looking at some of the stuff that happened in that Tank Davis fight that happened, almost a week ago? Was it? It's on Saturday. It was last Saturday. But before we look at that, we're going to look at some corruption that this social media platform allows, which I just find funny. I'm pretty sure they hamper my videos, but they have no problem with this kind of corruption. Look at this over here. This is selling drugs, drugs that you don't need any kind of prescription or anything to consume, selling it to the public. Right on U-Cylinder, right on YouTube.
You've never really dabbled in the marijuana or nicotine?
I've dabbled in the nicotine just mainly because of the studies that show the cognitive enhancement, the Andrew Huberman. These guys all talk about nicotine. And it's not in high doses, but in small doses every now and then. Maybe if I want to sit here and I really want to get locked in and laser focused on something. But no, not the marijuana.
When you do it, what do you do? Just a little pouch here and there?
Yeah, just a pouch.
Zinner?
Not Zyn, man. Tucker Carlson changed my mind on Zyn, so the Alps.
Oh, are those the Tucker Carlson ones?
These are the Tucker Carlson ones, yeah.
You've never really dabbled in the...
This has been brought to you by Tucker Carlson. Oh, those are the Tucker Carlson ones. Yeah, Tucker Carlson got me off of those. I'm getting the Tucker Carlson ones. So Tucker Carlson is over here selling you an addictive product, right? That's all Americana, right? He's going to sell you nicotine. Now, nicotine, they say, can be sort of like caffeine, but it also has negative effects, supposedly, on your blood vessels. Okay? So, Tucker Carlson, conservative, huh? What, is he a Christian? Conservative Christian selling you drugs? Pushing it on social media? Got Conor McGregor over here. Oh, yeah, look, he's smoking a joint. We're not selling THC. That's evil. Oh, nicotine in small doses. An addictive chemical in small doses being sold to you on YouTube. You think that this is paid advertising, probably. Who the fuck would put this video out? Oh, yeah, this is the kind of video I'm going to put out, right? A short on oh, yeah, I'm just taking small amounts of Tucker Carlson. Did you say Tucker Carlson? Yeah, Tucker Carlson.
Marijuana or nicotine?
I've dabbled in the nicotine just mainly because of the studies that show the
Oh, sorry. I almost said the N-word. I'm kidding. Is that the only thing you've dabbled in, Chandler? Right? Nothing else, huh? Just nicotine. That's how you got that physique. That's how you do it. He's just hard work and dedication.
Cognitive enhancement, the Andrew Huberman. These guys all talk about nicotine. And it's not in high doses, but in small doses every now and then. Maybe if I want to sit here and I really want to get locked in and laser focused on something. But no, not the marijuana.
All right, so they're saying that the nicotine's for focus. Oh, it's for focus, right, bro? Why don't you just drink a little caffeine, right? Why would you have something like this? I mean, none of it's good for you, really. It's a stimulant. But I just find it funny that Tucker Carlson is selling it and it's being pushed on a social media platform. These people, no joke, people have actually sent me letters, emails, YouTube, and said I am a threat to their community. It's one of the reasons they removed about 4 pages I created. Before I created Food TV, Food TV was broken up into many different shows. I mean, it still is broken up, but it's all in one place. It used to be broken up in many parts, and it was all over the place. I said some stuff they didn't like, and they said you're a threat to our community, and they removed every single one of the pages. This was the only one that lasted for reasons that I probably shouldn't say. It's still around. It still exists on this platform. If it goes, then I'm just going to move somewhere else. I'm going to move it to another platform. Probably, I guess, Rumble. I'm working on a website right now. It's called, I'm working on a new platform. It's a website. It's foodtv.com. Actually, it's called therealfoodtv.com. I have a .com. I'm working on it. It's not done yet, but it's been purchased already. All right. Give me 1 second. You got Never Sobers in the comments, busting my balls. As always. Give me 1 second. That's what you got to do, people. If you're making something on this platform, and I understand that this platform makes it much easier for people to find you, but the thing is that they, for damn sure, hamper your views. They really do. So you just make a website, so they can't remove you. They can remove you from their platform, but you could still have all your stuff you've created on your own platform, right? Even though these do help you to spread the word, these social media platforms, but, you know, sometimes they just don't let you fucking speak, right? You almost said what? Nah, I'm kidding. I didn't say the N-word. I didn't. I said something else I don't remember. I mean, you would say the N-word, wouldn't you, you damn racist? All right, so we saw that. We're going to watch, with that said, we're going to watch a video with Terrence Crawford in it. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. But we are going to watch a video with Terrence Crawford in it. A little drama video people have been spreading around the internet. Wait. Where the hell is this? All right, here it is. All right, I should have kept my other thing open. I'm going to open up the other screen again because it puts it in a bigger screen. So this is Terrence Crawford coming up to Teofimo Lopez with his big-ass juicer head. I mean, Terrence Crawford looking fat. Dude, he looking like Bomac more and more every day. Is that Bomac? Wait. I had a Bomac graphic around here. I'll show it later. You guys know what it is. It's the Nutty Professor. I got to bring this audio back up. So we got Terrence Crawford over here, who's clearly related to Bomac. He's going to talk about Tio. He's going to try to punk him here.
With it, baby. Hey, tell him what you told me. What I tell you? What you doing it for? Oh, promotion, baby. All right. Well, I ain't got to fuck him. I ain't got to fuck him up. But we should spawn. I ain't got to fuck him up. We should spawn. Come on, I want to spawn with you, though. All right, how about that? We clap it up? All right, bet. We out. What up with it, baby? Hey.
All right, so he comes over here at this event and talks to Teal because Teal said something about the monkey that gets the banana, something like that, which I find really funny because all these people believe in evolution. Somebody should ask Crawford if he believes in evolution. I would put money. He probably says yes. If you believe in evolution, then you believe you were a fucking monkey, right? You believe you're a monkey, right? And I guess that the idea is that to say that we're not monkeys anymore, right? That's the idea. So it's like to say that you eat bananas is to say that you're inferior, like you haven't evolved, something like that. But come on, everybody eats bananas. I don't eat them. They got too much sugar in them. But a lot of people do like them. They do like bananas. He said something. I mean, he's become an illusionist, most likely. Teofimo and Ryan Garcia are 33 guys. You know, they're probably Masons, possibly. Maybe. Globalist kind of guys. You know, they believe in the global citizen, that stuff. But Terrence Crawford got a lot of hood left in him. He wants to build up his name, right? He comes over here with Teofimo. But in a lot of ways, he made himself look really stupid. First of all, he's still tiny. He's small. Look at Teofimo. Teofimo, when you look at this, I'm going to turn the audio off. Teofimo not looking too much smaller than Terrence Crawford. Teofimo is fighting at, what, 140? Terrence Crawford's supposed to be going all the way up to 168. That fight ain't looking too good. He got a big-ass, fat, swollen head, yeah, but Teofimo's further from the camera. When he was closer to it, and almost even, you know, they were head-to-head almost. Terrence looks almost as big as Teo. He ain't too far. And so Terrence Crawford comes out here saying he's going to kick his ass just for his followers. He not only he's trying to punk him, but he's also hurting his marketability because now he can't stay on, you know, being the troll. Being the troll really helps him his money, right? So he probably shouldn't even have admitted that. If that was me, I wouldn't have said anything. I would have said, what? He would be like, oh, what do you mean by that? I'd be like, what? What do you mean? What do I mean? I don't know what you mean. I'll talk to you later, man. I mean, I just would have walked away. I mean, because he needs to be the troll. You can't say it was even marketing, bro. The funny part about the whole situation is there was another video that Crawford put out after where he said that he would beat up Teofimo in the street. I mean, why would you say you can beat him up in the street, bro? He said he could beat him in the street. Why can't you beat him in the boxing ring? I mean, he called you out. He said he'll fight you in the boxing ring. And the reason why is I don't think Terrence Crawford 100% thinks that he could beat Teofimo in a boxing ring. That's the problem. Right? That's probably why. But people say, he's strong. Yeah, he's strong. See, look. When their heads are close to each other, does Terrence really look that much bigger than him? Not really. Not really, people. Doesn't look that much bigger. So I put money, and you know Terrence ain't going to lay a finger on Teo. Teo pretty fast, pretty explosive. Terrence Crawford got his regular hands on right now. You don't have no stacks on those, right, bro? Terrence, that's just your regular hands. And Teal's hands versus your hands. I bet if we looked at their hands, Teal's hands might be a little bigger. Terrence don't have very big hands. He's got hands like a little girl, right? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's fetal alcohol syndrome. I have no idea. But Teofimo's a dude looks stronger than Terrence. They say he's strong, right? I don't know, man. There's probably a reason why Terrence said, I'll beat his ass in the street. Because like I said, look at the size difference. There's not a huge one. If he was to hit Teo here, it wouldn't shock me if Teo laid him out. Like he'll fucking light him up. That's what he'll probably do. The guy's a fighter. He's a fighter, right? If you want to kick his ass, why don't you smack him right there, bro? Why wouldn't you? You want to know why he did it? Because he probably got a little nugget in his head where he thinks that guy might actually fuck him up. And he probably would. I said months ago, when Teo was calling him out, that he might actually have a shot to beat him. To beat Crawford. People won't believe it, but I mean, the guy's probably going to be blazingly fast compared to Crawford. There's a lot of things there. I mean, Crawford ain't as good as what people think. It's not like he tried to punk him out, but all he did is reveal that he ain't that big. Crawford ain't that big. Canelo's going to whoop that ass, people. That guy's just coming in for his last payday. Turkey's like, okay, Crawford, I see you in the afterlife. When he goes into the Canelo fight, they usually say break a leg. He's like, hey, break a leg, right, Turkey? Break a leg? He's like, yes, Crawford. See you in the afterlife. He's like, what? He's like, Bomac, what do you mean by that? And Bomac puts his head down. He's just looking down at the ground. He's like, what? What's going on, Bomac? He's like, boy, I love you. Oh, I miss you. That's what he's going to do right before. And then Virgil Hunter is going to stick his head out. He's going to be like, you could do this. You could do it, Crawford. You could do it. And then you see Teo pop out of nowhere. He's like, well, the monkey that gets the best banana is the one that dies versus the ginger. you know, that would kind of break him down a little more because he would be like, "You racist! Racist!" Right? It's true.